covering the entire Piedmont Triad and everywhere you are. This is WXII 12 News at 4:30.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
Speech controversy. There are questions this morning about the origins of the speech Donald Trump's wife Melania delivered Monday on the opening night of the Republican National Convention. Plus, tempers flare. What happened when Trump supporters and members of the anti-Trump element went head-to-head in Cleveland. Plus, police safety in the wake of the recent ambush attack on officers in Dallas and Baton Rouge. What new tactics law enforcement here in the Triad are implementing and for how long. Good morning, everybody. 4:30 here on a Tuesday morning. Kenny Beck alongside meteorologist Gina DeVecchio, who is in for Brian once again. And once again, we have another hot day on tap.
Same old story. Starting off warm and muggy, finishing hot and humid. Little chances of storms. Yesterday, we just had a few pop-up showers and storms, but nothing too intense, so that was good news. Now you can see it clearing in the overnight. I'll let this loop one more time so you can see where that rainfall was in a little thunderstorm in Yadkin County, and besides that, pretty quiet for your afternoon and in your overnight, but lots of moisture out there. And for this morning, we're not really having major issues when it comes to fog and visibility, but you can see just a few areas of patchy fog, especially up in Virginia, so keep that in mind. But overall temperatures are warmer. Look at this, 76 degrees right now in Winston-Salem, as well as in Greensboro, 75 in Burlington. It's a warm one. We do have the little areas of patchy fog, and it's going to be another hot afternoon. This afternoon is going to be very similar to what we saw yesterday, right around the low 90s, but feel like temperatures a little bit warmer, mid to upper 90s. Same old story. Slightly better chances of some storms, though, about 40% chance of you seeing some of that developing in your area. It looks like you're going to have similar chances from the Triad into the foothills and also into the mountains. Now, mountain chances are going to begin just a little bit earlier in the day, but also about 40% chance. Looking at satellite and radar, you can see the radar picking up on some moisture, but that's about it. Not really rainfall for now. But by this afternoon, we are going to be seeing chances of rain. Looks like it'll be rather spotty later in the day, and here you can see that developing possibly by this afternoon. We do have a hot weekend in store for you. I'm talking about possibly the hottest weekend of the summer. We'll talk about that coming up.
An amazing mother, an incredible woman, Melania Trump.
Presumptive presidential nominee Donald Trump took the opening night stage briefly at the Republican National Convention to introduce his wife Melania ahead of her speech. But this morning, there are questions about the origin of that speech, including which political figure delivered it first. Have a listen.
Because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
There's one section of Mrs. Trump's speech where 22 of the 23 words are identical and delivered in the same order as Michelle Obama's speech at the Democratic National Convention 8 years ago. There was another section where 29 of the 37 words were the same. Prior to the speech, Mrs. Trump told Matt Lauer she wrote it and with as little help as possible. Afterwards, the Trump campaign called Mrs. Trump's remarks beautiful and a success. Today is day 2 of the RNC in Cleveland. The theme, Make America Work Again. Some of the featured speakers on the floor will be UFC President Dana White, House Speaker Paul Ryan, and Dr. Ben Carson, a former presidential candidate himself. To stay on top of all things happening in Cleveland, be sure to head to WXII12.com and click on the Politics tab. Also, download our app to your mobile device for instant updates from the trail. Well, the first day of the convention began with a little bit of conflict. Anti-Trump forces disrupted the floor with shouting. They demanded delegates decide if Trump delegates can actually vote for a different candidate. Trump supporters continued and clashed with those non-supporters on the floor through their opinions as well.
The nominee, and guess what? The whole world just got to witness a tyrannical man who chooses to crush the voice of the grassroots.
Get over it. If somebody else would have won, I would have gotten behind that person.
Eventually, the anti-Trump element at the convention failed to get its way, pleasing most of the pro-Trump delegates. Well, the RNC wasn't all tension. Some of those who attended were able to let their hair down and even dance on the floor. You can catch some of the more light moments that took place. That's coming up in our next quarter hour of news at about 4:45 a.m. And the convention was not the only place where tempers were running hot. Protesters interrupted Hillary Clinton's speech a short distance away in Minneapolis when she began talking about the recent fatal shootings by police of Philando Castile. Protesters stood up carrying a banner. It read, "Hands up, don't shoot." Clinton told the crowd she shares the urgency and commitment to address the issue of deadly police force.
Killing police officers is a crime against us all. There can be no justification, no looking the other way, and this must end.
Secretary Clinton added that everyone benefits when there is respect for the law and when everyone is respected by the law. Clinton's speech and the start of the RNC comes as new poll numbers are being released regarding November's general election and the most likely hypothetical matchup here. NBC News and the Wall Street Journal, a poll that they've worked on together, shows Clinton with a slim 5-point lead as of last week, 46-41. Those numbers are the same numbers that a survey a month ago found. A new CNN ORC poll also finds a 5-point advantage for Mrs. Clinton, 42-37. Democratic National Convention now begins in less than a week. It's being held in Philadelphia. That convention is only now 6 days away. Investigators say the gunman in the Baton Rouge shooting attack, it is unclear this morning if that person was in fact out to kill police officers. Authorities say Gavin Long was a former Marine sergeant. In a recent YouTube video, he advocated for violence after the shooting death of Alton Sterling. During the attack on the officers, police say Long was armed with 2 rifles and a handgun. He snuck up behind 3 law enforcement officers and then opened fire. The 3 officers killed in that attack were Brad Garofalo, Montrell Jackson, and Matthew Gerald. Some of their family members, friends, and fellow officers described them as hardworking and loving individuals. 3 other officers were injured in that attack on Sunday morning. The East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff says one of those officers remains in critical condition this morning. Back in the Piedmont Triad, the shooting is causing some local law enforcement agencies to take a good hard look at how they'll be responding to calls in the immediate future. In particular, Guilford County Sheriff B.J. Barnes says his department is doubling up, meaning instead of sending 1 officer or deputy to conduct a traffic stop, you will instead see 2. He says he will continue to have his forces double up as long as the need remains.
Yeah, the only thing it's going to impact is maybe impact our response times a little bit because you're cutting your force in half.
Police in Surry County are paying their respects to the fallen police officers in both Dallas, Texas and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Black ribbons are hanging on the back of their cruisers. They started wearing black mourning bands across their badges following the incident in Dallas. The police chief, the sheriff in Surry County, says they don't have the resources to double up at this time, but he is encouraging his deputies to be cautious both on and off duty.
Be very cautious of what they post on social media, especially pictures of families or particular types of vehicles. We wanted to take away any opportunity to present themselves as an easy target.
Sheriff Atkinson adds, folks in Surry County have worked hard to develop a good relationship with the community they serve. They say it's something that didn't happen overnight. It has taken a long time to get there. Well, so many tragedies have taken place in such a short amount of time. Here, what one doctor says people can do to cope with the pain and the depression. Plus, another officer tried on the stand in the death of Freddie Gray. What happened during the trial and what trials are still yet to come. It is 4:38 on a Tuesday morning. You're watching WXII 12 News.
It's 4:41 and it's a warm start to your day. 75 in Jamestown, Burlington, 74 in Kernersville and Asheboro, 73 Mount Airy right now. It's a warm, muggy start. It's going to lead to a hot and steamy afternoon. Temperatures are going to be heating up very similar to what we saw yesterday with feel-like temperatures in the mid to upper 90s. More storms possible today and then we start to dry out. It's going to lead to some very hot weather for your weekend. We'll talk about it coming up.
Gina, thank you. With so many violent attacks that have plagued the nation over the last few weeks, one doctor is giving advice on how to cope with all of this bad news. Psychiatry and behavioral Dr. Ron Bailey says best way to cope is through engagement with others. Have a listen.
I think that, this is an important time for us, I think, as a society, everywhere you are, whether you're in Baton Rouge or Minnesota, or whether you're right here in North Carolina, all persons have some ability to play a role in making the situation better. So it really is not a time for passivity and hoping that someone else will take the lead, but we can.
In the wake of recent violence, WXI 12 will be re-airing our hour-long special on race relations. Race in Black and White, hosted by Wanda Stark, will air this Sunday, July 24th, beginning at 8 p.m. It is 4:42 here on a Tuesday morning. You're watching WXII 12 News.
The Triad's #1 news, WXII 12 News, with Kimberly Van Scoy, Kenny Beck, meteorologist Brian Slocum, and breaking news and traffic with Brianna Connor.
It's 4:45 and it's a warm start to your day once again. Looking over Winston-Salem, you can see all is clear. We are seeing lots of lights out there. Very little fog in the Triad to start this morning, though there is a lot of moisture out. Temperatures are warm and they're going to get even hotter this afternoon. A big concern is going to be those heat indices even late this morning into the early afternoon. Looks like we'll be in the 90-degree range once again. We do have storm chances today. We'll break down the details for you coming up.
Gina, thank you. A judge in Maryland has acquitted a third Baltimore City police officer in connection with the death of Freddie Gray a year ago. Judge Barry Williams found Lieutenant Brian Rice not guilty on all the charges he was facing. Rice was the highest-ranking officer to face charges in connection with Gray's death. The judge ruled the prosecution failed to prove that Lieutenant Rice acted in a grossly negligent manner by not seatbelting Gray in. The next trial in this case is scheduled to begin on Wednesday. Not this coming Wednesday, but a week from, for Officer Garrett Miller. Following that trial, there's another one scheduled for Officer William Porter. That one is not due to begin until September. Jurors from the Charleston area will decide the fate of Dylan Roof when his trial begins later this year in federal court. U.S. District Judge Richard Gergel ruled a local pool will be used to select jurors when the death penalty trial begins November 7th. The 22-year-old Roof is charged with hate crimes and a number of counts of murder stemming from the June 2015 shootings at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston. Roof also faces 9 murder charges in state court as well. A man armed with an axe and a knife attacked passengers aboard a regional train in southern Germany last night. He injured 4 people before being shot and killed by police as he fled. According to police, their Facebook page, 3 victims suffered serious injuries and 1 was slightly injured. Another 14 people were still being treated for shock. Police say they do not have any information yet as to a possible motive. Well, we are inching ever closer to the start of the Summer Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. 17 days away now. They begin August 5th, just 2 weeks from Friday. First up in our Olympics report, doping concerns. The Russian Olympic Committee is calling for further investigation into accusations of a state-approved doping cover-up. The World Anti-Doping Agency released a report yesterday that says people high up in the Russian government ordered hundreds of test results to be falsified. Changing those test results would potentially keep Russian athletes from being banned for doping. The Russian Olympic Committee says these accusations are serious and require further investigation. The U.S. men's basketball team is practicing in Las Vegas before heading down to Rio de Janeiro for the Summer Games. It'll be led by 2012 gold medalist Kevin Durant and 3-time gold medalist Carmelo Anthony. Durant says he's looking forward to the international competition once again and playing with a new lineup of all-stars.
It was good. You know, I was just trying to fill the team out, fill out, you know, what we want, our roles on the team, and you know, what the sets we're going to run and defensive scheme. So it was good. It was good to get back out in the team setting, and it's great playing with these great players, man. I'm excited.
U.S. men's basketball team once again coached by Mike Krzyzewski. It currently holds a 17-game Olympic winning streak dating back to their 2004 bronze medal in Athens. Although there were certainly some heated moments during the first day of the Republican National Convention, some people still found time to have a little fun. Donald Trump's signature trucker hats could not outshine or outsparkle some of the high hat fashion at the RNC's opening night. The classic cowboy hat appeared to be the crowd favorite, especially in the Texas delegation. As you can see on the right-hand side of your screen there, some folks on the convention floor made it a dance floor as well. Some delegates just could not stay in their seats and decided to bust a move when songs like Honky Tonk Woman by the Rolling Stones were pumped out over the PA. Next, we want to talk about a record-breaking flight. Good gracious, have you heard about this story yet? I mean, this is just unbelievable. A young pilot landed a spot in the record books after landing his plane in Southern California. 16-year-old Isaiah Cooper is now the youngest African-American pilot to fly 8,000 miles cross country. He's 16 years old. The accomplishment just earned him a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records, and now he's encouraging others to make a goal, stick to your dreams, and ultimately make them a reality.
Just stay focused, you know. There's a lot of people that will try to detract you from the road that you're on, and there's a higher power that's always there trying to have you focused. So whatever you want to do, you can do it. Just put your mind to it and make sure that you have a positive mind and friends and family that will support you.
Isaiah already has other goals in mind in the future. He hopes to become the youngest African-American pilot to fly solo around the world. Ooh. Gina DeVecchio joins us once again here up on the desk. It looked like pretty good weather for him landing there in California. And it's been hot there. It's been hot here as well. It is July. We expect this time of year. That doesn't make it any easier to deal with.
No, definitely not. And you're right. You mentioned that a lot of the U.S. is going to be dealing with this heat. And the problem is that it's going to keep building all the way into your weekend. You're going to see that on your 7-day forecast. For today, we do have a quiet start to your day. You can see over the past couple of hours, just some clouds and some clearing. Most of the rain holding off for now, but you do see that front up towards our north. That's going to sweep down throughout this afternoon and bring some rain chances with it. Also lots of heat and humidity staying with us, and that's going to trigger those storms as well. Now we do have lots of high pressure off towards the west. That's going to continue to build, and that's going to keep it very warm for the central part of the U.S. and then that is going to extend to the east coast by the time your weekend comes. Look at all this heat. You can see up into Montana, the Dakotas as well. Lots of 70-degree temperatures, 75 in New York, 76 right here in the Triad, then 80s towards the south and the west. 76 in Raleigh as well, 67 up in Galax. That's the one spot that you're seeing some 60s. Everyone else warm and humid to start. A couple degrees warmer than where we were yesterday, and yesterday it was a warm one. Dew points keeping us on the warm side, 73-degree dew point right now. And this afternoon, you're still going to be feeling those 70-degree dew points, meaning that it's going to be another sticky one. I want to talk about our drought conditions because it has improved over the last couple of weeks in the Triad. That's good news. Still hoping for a little more rainfall in the southern parts of the mountains. So watching that, hoping, praying for rain for those people towards the south. But over the next couple of days, looks like we're all going to have a couple of chances of seeing these storms. I want to talk about the severe risk for weather because we do have a marginal risk for today. We've been anticipating this for a couple of days with that front sweeping down. That is going to trigger the chances of these storms popping up, and some of which could be strong or severe, especially with some wind damage. We go to tomorrow. Tomorrow, very slim chances of storms. In fact, we don't even have it on our 7-day forecast. Quiet for now, but then you can see that rain's going to come through late this afternoon. Looks like we're going to see it spotty at first, and then perhaps some showers and storms getting a little bit stronger. Temperatures look like they're going to be right around the low 90s. Feel like temperatures mid to upper 90s. And here you can see those rain chances moving in through the evening, and then looks like it'll exit in the overnight. Something we'll be watching for this afternoon, though, is just how strong these storms do get. 40% chance of rain for today. That decreases for most of your work week. Though Thursday, we can't rule out a stray pop-up shower or storm, and then temperatures are going to be warming back up. Look at that, 95 for both Saturday and Sunday.
All right, Gina, thank you very much. Well, most 16-year-olds are preparing to get their driver's licenses, but it's a little bit of a different story for teens with autism. But now a research team is doing everything possible to be sure that those with autism have a fair shot behind the wheel. Plus, all new at 5, a Chicago Bulls rookie is making his team proud. How many buzzer beaters he hit in the Summer League championship game. It is 4:54 here on a Tuesday morning. You're watching WXII 12 News.
Look at those temperatures on this Tuesday morning, 76 degrees at about 5 o'clock in Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and Burlington. It's going to be another hot one. Be sure to stay cool throughout this afternoon as temperatures will be heating up into the 90s for most of your afternoon, feeling around 96 degrees. 40% chance of some showers coming your way and cooling you off. We'll talk about those storm chances coming up.
Gina, thank you. In this morning's Health Beat, researchers at St. Jude Children's Hospital have found that some adolescent cancer survivors are often left with mental scars. The research team says the psychological symptoms never appeared alone, but were accompanied by other symptoms that often correspond with their cancer treatment. Researchers hope their findings will spark a more vigorous screening program. Well, for some 16-year-olds, their singular focus is getting that driver's license. But that important step toward adulthood can be quite a bit more challenging for young people with autism. Now, a research team in Tennessee is working on ways to help. Erica Edwards shows us how.
On the right pedal here. Every little shift of the eyes. Each time the heart speeds up a bit. Researchers at Vanderbilt are tracking exactly how 16-year-old Brandon Roberson reacts to a driving simulator.
I never know what is going to happen with Brandon.
His grandmother explains Brandon has ADHD and Asperger's syndrome, a high-functioning form of autism.
We know that in the next 10 years, 500,000 adolescents with autism will become adults with autism.
The goal of the Vanderbilt Simulator program is to teach teens with autism spectrum disorder the basic rules of the road, as well as identify things that could make driving more difficult for them.
One of them is anticipating the social behaviors of the other drivers around them.
Some of these young drivers may be extremely bothered by loud noises like ambulance sirens.
So you have to be very sensitive about their emotional state. So it's not just how well you are driving, how you are feeling while you are driving.
The program